Hey parents, I'm going to give you a quick little tip about a reading, writing, and popcorn word practice activity called reading strips. This is especially beneficial if you don't have any leveled readers that are at your child's level. It'll give them something that they can read independently on their own. So what you do is I just got a piece of printer paper and I cut it into strips. And then what you're going to need to do is get some popcorn words. So for this example, I picked two popcorn words. I said, for this example, that my kindergartner is having trouble with the word have. So we're going to practice the word have. And I also picked out the word want. Want is a popcorn word that we haven't practiced yet, so I thought maybe we'll just go ahead and practice this popcorn word. So for this example, we're going to work with the word have. So then you would ask your child, can you think of an example sentence of using the word have? And so they might say something like, well, I have a cat. And so then what you would do is you're going to give them a little strip of paper and they are going to write, I have a cat. Please see, if you haven't already, Mrs. Hall's writing video. She has a lot of awesome writing tips that you can use. We're going to go through some of those really quickly. So at the very beginning, you're going to, remind them to start with a capital letter. So I'm going to start with I. Remind them to use a finger space. Have. If it's a popcorn word that you're practicing, you might put that popcorn word right in front of them so they can see it and use it that way. I have, another finger space, a. And then you can help them figure out that tricky word that they're putting at the end of their sentence. You can roller coaster stretch it out like k, at, or you can rubber band stretch it, k, at. And then they're going to write that down. K, at, I have a cat. Then you can have them pick the ending punctuation. In this case, we're just going to do a period. And then what you're going to have them do is you're going to have them point to every single word in their sentence and read it to you. I have a cat. Then what you might do is say, all right, this time I want you to read the word as I cut them out, so they can see a real separation between the words in your sentence. So then they would read, I have a cat. And then to make it a little bit fun, you might say, oh, now I'm going to mix up the words and you will never be able to unscramble your sentence ever again because it's too tricky for you. And then you're going to give them the pile. And then they have to figure out how they had their sentence. So that one has a period. I have a cat. And then they'll read it to you again. I have a cat. Then what you're going to have them do is glue it somewhere. We found just this plain notebook that we had lying around the house, and so we're going to use it. And so then we're going to practice going left to right in the reading direction. Ah. My glue is about done. It's okay, I have a replacement. I have a I have a cat. Here you can also talk about doing a return sweep. When we run out of space, we start over again and we still go left to right. Then what you're going to want to have them do is do a tiny little picture to kind of remind them of the words, just like they would have in a book. It's a picture to remind them of the words. So in this case, I'm going to draw a picture of me. with my cat. So I have a cat. And then I see the picture and it reminds me, oh, I'm talking about my cat. I have a cat. And then what you're going to do is you can use this to kind of create lots of different sentences that they can practice on. So here's some that I've already done. I have a dog. I drew me with a dog. I want a banana split. Here I drew a banana split. If you notice here, I actually spelled the word banana wrong. And that's okay because, again, watch Mrs. Hall's video. It's okay if they are stretching out those words and some of the words they spell incorrectly. They're doing spelling using all of the sounds that they hear, and that's perfect, and that's what we want them to do. If you come across a word like banana and you want to write that word for them, that's also okay. But this just gives them practice with some writing, with some popcorn word reviews, and also they can go back and read this independently, and that'll help out if you don't have any leveled books at home. So hopefully this little tip helps, and I'll share some more ideas here in a little bit. Hey parents, another quick reading tip for you is to do maybe at least 2 read-alouds a day to your kiddo. During a read-aloud, remember that you are modeling how your child should be reading. So even if you don't have any leveled books at home, if you are modeling how to read some of these books, then they can go back and read them during their independent time. This is my daughter who's asleep right now. Liara. And she's going to show us how this looks too. So here's one example. This book is called Don't Eat Our Classmates, and we really like this book, don't we?
Yes. One time when I read it, a bunch of times I just keep on crying.
Yes, because she thought it was a very sad book at first. So it says, Penelope Rex was nervous. It's not every day a little T-Rex starts school. What are my classmates going to be like? Will they be nice? How many teeth will they have? This was very important. Penelope's mom bought her a new backpack with ponies on it. Ponies were Penelope's favorite because ponies are delicious. Penelope's dad packed her a lunch of 300 tuna sandwiches and 1 apple juice.
She'll be thirsty still.
Maybe. Finally, the big day came, and Penelope Rex was very surprised to find out that all of her classmates were children. So she ate them all, because children are delicious. Penelope Rex, said Mrs. Noodleman, we don't eat our classmates. Please spit them out at once. So she did. It was not the best way to start school. Still, Penelope was determined to have a good first day. We're going to stop there. One of the things you want to do during a read aloud is you might stop and you might talk about how characters are feeling. For example, if you look at the very beginning of this story, Penelope has kind of a sad face on, but she's not sad. She's feeling, you might talk about kind of nervous or anxious. She's hoping that she'll make friends. She's hoping she'll like her school. So you might talk about how the characters are feeling and what the problem is. So one of the problems is already that she ate her classmates. And if you might say, look at their faces after she spit them out. How do they look? Do they look really excited about having been eaten, or do they look a little bit mad? Do you think she'll make friends now? So you want to stop and ask your kiddo some of those questions.
Except Walter. Walter was a goldfish. Will you be my friend? Jump! Ow! Yike! He's eating my finger! Soon, Penelope Rex sings.
As you could see before, even though Liara wasn't reading the book 100% correct, what's more important is that she's reading it by herself. She's doing it With fluency, she's making the characters come to life by making all of the sounds and reading with expression. So those are some things that you want for them to be able to do as they're going off and reading by themselves. A few other quick tips are if you do have a leveled reader, because your child's teacher is trying very, very hard to make sure that you have something that is on your child's level at home. One of the things that you can do before reading is do what we call a picture walk. So what you can do as a parent is look through the book beforehand and kind of see any tricky words that might pop up, and then just kind of prompt your kid kind of as they go. What that looks like is just, you're gonna say, we're gonna look at the pictures first and we're not gonna pay any attention to the words. And so you might say, oh, this little girl found a ladybug. Look, the ladybug is red, has black spots. Ooh, this little boy found a butterfly. It looks like that butterfly is yellow. This little boy, what is that bug? And they might say it's a grasshopper. The grasshopper is green. And so you kind of go through the book like that. And then afterwards, you might point out some of the words that you're going to see are has. The word has is going to be on every single page. And then, or you're going to see the word sees. If your kid gets here and they say, she can see a bug. It is red. He can see a bug. It is yellow. And they are adding in that word can, even though it's not there. One of the things that I like to do is let them read everything through first, and then you want to pick like maybe one thing, one or two things to come back and address with them. And you might say, I noticed you did this, and you might model that for them. Like I'm doing here, and you could say, he can see a bug. And then you're gonna stop, and you're gonna say, what did you notice there? And they might say, oh, we said one word too many because there's not a word there. And so then you can kind of go through and say, oh, you're right. We added too many words because there's not a word there. Let's see what we messed up on. And if you keep it about what we messed up on instead of like what they messed up on, they are not going to feel as frustrated, and they won't feel so self-conscious about their reading. So then you might go through and point out, you know this popcorn word, this is see. What did they add at the end of it? And we could sound it out and say sees. He sees a bug. And then that way you're giving them some tips to kind of grow on, but you're not frustrating them at the same time, because nobody wants their mistakes pointed out all the time. If you do not have a leveled reader at home, for instance, we have several of these like level 1 books. These can be a little too tricky for beginning readers, but I wanted to show you something you can do real quick. This is a book about Barbie. You can have your kiddo kind of go through and find all the popcorn words. Even if you read this book together kind of as a read aloud, before you get started, you could say, oh, I see lots and lots of popcorn words. Can you try to find as many as you can? And then have them go through and just say, oh, can be a, she is on a, and are on the, is, and they're just gonna go through and find as many popcorn words as they can. Another thing that you could do, if this is even too tricky, is you can have them go through and you could say, I want you to find all the A's, all the E's, or I want you to count every word on the page and see if they can count how many words are on each page. And this kind of gives them some literacy skills that they can be practicing, and they can practice this on their own, even if they can't read this book all by themselves. And that just kind of gives them something to do, and they're still practicing those skills. So hopefully these tips have helped. If you need any further help from any of your kindergarten teachers, just email us, because we want to be able to help you guys. Thank you for all the hard work that you're doing at home to help these kids keep on working and reading at home. Bye.